Next, let's move on to specification number 2, which state that large molecules are made from smaller molecules. Limited to starch, cellulose and glycogen from glucose, proteins from amino acids, lipids from fatty acids and glycerol, and DNA from nucleotides. In this part, we'll briefly look at how small molecules come together to form the large biological molecules we've already listed. To understand this better, let's first learn what monomers and polymers are. Carbon is a very important element found in living things. It is special because it can form long chains or ring shapes. This helps create big and complex molecules in our bodies. Most large molecules in living organisms are built from smaller, repeating parts called monomers. These monomers usually contain carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, and sometimes nitrogen too. When monomers join together through chemical bonds, they form polymers. Polymers are long chains made of monomers. For example, polysaccharides are chains of sugars. Proteins are chains of amino acids. DNA is a chain of nucleotides. Polymers often have very different properties compared to the monomers they are made of. These new features allow them to perform special roles in the body. Cells need many chemicals to build their parts, like the cytoplasm, and to make energy. This is why all living organisms must eat food, even though their cells may do different jobs. Still, all cells need some basic things to stay alive. These include water, oxygen, mineral salts, and nutrients from food. In fact, every cell is made up of water, proteins, fats, lipids, carbohydrates, sugars, minerals, and vitamins or other helpful substances made from vitamins. Let's take a closer look at this diagram showing monomers and polymers. It shows how a monomer turns into a polymer, using ethylene as an example. First, you'll see a single ethylene molecule, where carbon and hydrogen atoms are bonded together. Then, the diagram shows how several ethylene molecules join up to form a long chain, creating a polymer called polyethylene. In simple terms, this diagram helps you understand how small building blocks, called monomers, link together to form larger, more complex structures known as polymers. It also points out that monomers are small, repeating units that combine to make big molecules called polymers. Now that we've introduced the 4 major biological molecules and the elements they contain, let's look at how these large molecules are actually built. If we break down these biological molecules from their large, complex forms into their simpler building blocks. Carbohydrates can exist as long chains called polysaccharides, such as starch or cellulose. These are made up of smaller units called disaccharides, which themselves are formed by joining 2 monosaccharides, the simplest sugar units like glucose. Moving on to lipids, a common form is the triglyceride, which is made by bonding 3 fatty acids with 1 glycerol molecule. These are the fats and oils we often find in food. For proteins, the structure begins as a long chain called a peptide, which is built by linking together smaller molecules called amino acids. These amino acids are the true building blocks of proteins. Lastly, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA are made up of repeating units called nucleotides. Each nucleotide consists of a sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. So essentially, all these large biomolecules, whether they're carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, or nucleic acids, are formed by assembling smaller, simpler units in specific patterns to perform essential functions in the body. So, we know that each of them starts from simpler units that join together to form more complex structures.